might be in there. We did find the guitar stand in there.
There's no doubt about that. We can do that. Play it by ear.
Oh, the music stand in there, isn't it?
Good morning. As we settle ourselves in, we light this beacon of hope, sign of our quest for truth and meaning, in celebration of the life shared together.
And as the flame is lit and as the music is played, take this time to settle your hearts, settle your minds, settle your spirits. Quiet those words that are in your mind. May we be able to be united here together. Thank you. I'm the pastoral minister here to find that special measure of fellowship, special measure of hope and strength from each other. First thing I want to do is bring you greetings from Dick and Molly Hood in an unpronounceable community in Maine where they live. We had a delightful time, Kim and I, visiting with Dick and Molly, and seen all through the part. You'll catch them up later, but it was a wonderful time. And Dick, if you're watching right now, thank you so much for your hospitality. Molly, you as well. Fabulous time and fabulous people. So this is when we gather together. And one of the things we like to do is acknowledge guests and visitors, if you're willing. So I'm going to look to my right, your far left, that section over there. And if there's any guests or visitors that'd be willing to stand and welcome. Any others on that side? And in the middle section? Yes, ma'am.
I'm Wendy Mitzo, so I live on Hilton Head, and I'm a good friend of Judy's.
Good to meet you. Good to see you again, Wendy. And Judy Baker, welcome back. Good to see you. Absolutely. On my far left, your far right, any guests? Welcome here. Any others on that side? For those of you that are our guests, you should know that in some unique way, the universe has conspired to bring you into a fellowship of warmth and kindness, grace, and unique needs, because these are the things that draw us together. I get now to introduce to this congregation again the Reverend Pat Jobe. Some of you know that Pat and I have grown very close together over the years. Pat has been, as many of you have been to me, a bright beacon and light of encouragement and hope moving forward. And it just gives me great pleasure to be able to have Pat here today. I've told the story a number of times that early on in my time here in this congregation, I think after the first time I spoke, I was here and Pat spoke. And this threw me off kilter for the longest time. But because of that, Pat and I have grown close together. We've spent some time together. And it's my pleasure to invite Pat Jobe for the opening words.
I do have opening words, but I want to do two quick things first. The first one is I want to challenge you today. As you go out of here this morning, and I know most of you are not going to do it, but as you go out into the coffee and snack area, talk to somebody you don't know. Especially look around and see if you see somebody who nobody's talking to. Because these are the people who are really trying to figure out what's going on here. And when you walk up to them, don't say, "Hey, how are you? My name is..." And imagine the conversation that will ensue. The other thing I want to do before I do our opening words, and our opening words contain a funny story. I want to tell you that last night at, where is Joanne? Right here. Joanne. Holy, holy, holy. And I hope that you will encourage Kirsten to watch this recording, because I want her to make perfect showmanship, love of what she was doing, but she was also so self-effacing. She was also communicating to us, I'm only doing what I love. I'm only doing what anybody could do if they would do what they love. And her shtick with the spider and her guitar, every time she did it, absolutely wonderful. Okay, here's the funny story. And I'm telling it in honor of Mike, because Mike is going to sing a song in a few minutes that includes a reference to Albert Einstein. And I'm reading a book about Einstein and Heisenberg and other subatomic physicists. And yeah, I know. But Einstein says to Heisenberg, your words, your concepts, what you are trying to communicate doesn't make any sense. Einstein says, I know. School for a while, and he says, Mom, are there going to be any liars in heaven? And she said, no, sweetheart, I'm sorry. You can't be a liar and get into heaven. The little boy walks away. He comes back a few minutes later and he says, Mama, there's not going to be anybody up there but
Thank you to those of you who brought food and put it on the back table. For the food pantry in Hilton Head and Bluffton, we donate to those pantries, those two pantries, every week. And you can be assured that your donations will be taken there. And speaking of donations, it's now time to pass the plate for your donations for this congregation's work inside and outside these walls.
And now is the time that we'll share our joys and concerns. If you have a joy and or concern, please come forward, give us your name, and share with us your joy and concern after you've taken a stone from the basket, and then you may place that in the cairn. We share our joy so that we can all celebrate with one another, and we share our concerns in the hopes that we can help you relieve some of those burdens. So please come forward. I know. Oh. Thank you.
Take a stone from the basket. Give us your name.
Hello, my name is Danny.
I've been gone for a couple of weeks, but my joy is I started a new job and it connected me to a passion that I hadn't been able to do in 7 years. And I'm very joyful to be surrounded by loving people.
morning. My name is George. I'm a member of this congregation and have been for a long time. And I've been holding this joy and concern back for 4 weeks. Pat Jobe was here 4 weeks ago and introduced us to a different type of church, the Church of the Spaghetti Monsters. You might recall that. And I have felt that it's quite possible that I wasn't getting as much out of the UUs as I should. And so I decided to look into this. And I can tell you my joy is that I am now a member of that church. This is no joke. I am now a pastafarian. Thank you.
Hi, I'm John. I think most of you know that I've been at Lynn and Gordon's house taking care of their plants while they're gone for a month. And so I've been enjoying it a lot. And I'll tell you what, God has been watering their plants. Most of them are outside.
I'm Wes, and I sort of have an announcement. Around 4 o'clock yesterday afternoon, most of you heard this very loud noise, and you thought it was lightning or thunder. It wasn't. I was putting new cat boxes in for my cats, and I got my foot caught, and I twisted it. Now, you can do many things when you're recovering from knee surgery, one of which is not twisting your knee. So, I apologize for the noise. I hope I didn't scare anybody. I hope I didn't scare any cats. But that was the noise.
My name's Wendy, and we are just done celebrating a whole week with Anthony's, our best man, Anthony's best friends from when he was literally in kindergarten, and their adult children all came to Hilton Head. We rented 3 condos. We did kayaking and bike riding and sightseeing and fish eating and everything that you can imagine that there would be fun to do on Hilton Head, and it was spectacular. So if you've been missing your long lost friends, call them, have them come visit. Yeah.
I will now place 2 stones in the cairn for the joys and concerns that remain unspoken. I will also place 2 stones for those families and children who have been affected by gun violence. And now if you will join me in reading the affirmation in the back of your hymnal, it's number 701. We receive fragments of holiness, glimpses of eternity, brief moments of insight. Let us gather them up for the precious gifts that they are, and renewed by their grace, move boldly into the unknown.
Now it's my great pleasure to have Guan Yin and give us a bit of his heart today.
Some of you were here last night, and therefore I am beside myself to think that I'm going to play the guitar and sing after you got to hear Kirsten last night. But I work with a wonderful singer-songwriter at our Lake Norman congregation, and I always tell people to consider the contrast between his playing and my playing. It helps. This song is about a dream. I dreamed the refrain of this song, and I'm always so grateful to the muse when she shows up and hands me a dream. This song is setting an intention or sending something out into the universe. It's so reassuring, first of all, to know that sometimes it works, and secondly, to know that you don't have to do it like other people. You get to pray, you get to believe, you get to hope for, you get to set an intention the way you do it and not the way somebody else does it. And that's part of the genius of Unitarian Universalism. And there aren't a lot of churches on Hilton Head Island where you would hear that message this morning. This is the one. I dreamed about a woman I loved a long, long time ago. She was fighting with my first wife. They were going toe to toe. My first wife told my old baby, "You're the reason he doesn't care." My baby said, "Don't worry." We were praying different prayers. We were praying different prayers. We were climbing different stairs, searching for that light on the second floor. She said, "I could have been your cowgirl, you could have been my ride." We were praying different prayers, and we fought on different times. It's just a game, and you play it just for fun. So if you lose your lover, it may not be she doesn't care. You're just lighting different candles, praying different prayers. I want to add my word of welcome to Kathy. Kathy, where are you over here? Kathy, thank you for visiting today. You have found the pot of gold at the end of the spiritual rainbow. This is such a wonderful place. Such special perfection goes on here, even though we don't expect you to pray the way we pray or believe the way we believe. And where's Wendy? And you to hear a debate on the various offices people believe Jesus filled. That becomes so boring and tedious, and it's been going on for 2,000 years. And it has never been decided absolutely. Now, there are plenty of people who will tell you that it has been decided absolutely because it comes out of their tribe, their church, their dogma, their theology. But all you got to do is drive about a half decided absolutely. These questions involve faith and not knowledge. Faith is what we believe, and those things are often at odds with each other. If we did a survey here in the room, the different beliefs would be everybody except the severely mentally ill. Everybody knows there's a moon. You don't have to talk anybody into believing in the moon. It's there. This is what is so liberating and energizing. We have among us Buddhists, Jains, Hindus, atheists, agnostics, and even apatheists. I have a friend who calls herself an apatheist. She says she just doesn't care. Meetings of the United Nations. We come together. Our tolerance for each other is our genius. In fact, one of the things that we value most highly as we come together is the fact that we come together. We like that. I said all that because I'm working to create an open space for you to hear me say, I believe in Jesus. You say that I seriously doubt you will recognize the Jesus I believe in. Like him or not, I am using the rest of our time together to tell you stories that may make you madder than fire. They might even know that some of you are dealing with dismay at the way our government is being led. We're all in this together. We're all in this. You with James Tallarico. He is a member of the Texas House of Representatives, a progressive, pro-choice Democrat, and a great example of the kind of humanizing Christianity that is the polar opposite of Christian nationalism. If you want more information on that, of how a person can be a follower of Jesus and not be mean and hateful, Tallarico's Jesus is my Jesus. So let me begin by saying my Jesus is a Unitarian. He has no need to claim he and his Father in heaven are the same. Unitarianism, at its founding, came to reject the idea that Jesus and the God of the universe were somehow intertwined and indicative of each other. One of our ancestors, the Reverend William Ellery Channing, said Jesus did not need to be God to invent a moral system any more than Pythagoras needed to be God to invent geometry. I don't even believe that in John 14:6, Jesus, what I think he might life, and if we want to be the kind of people our Creator made great life, you will be kind to people. You will stand up to playground bullies and ICE agents in unmarked cars. You will feed the hungry of where they live or what religion they practice. And my Jesus is a myth. Myths are not lies. Myths are stories which may or may not be provable and verifiable. They may not stand up to the legal definition of truth beyond reasonable doubt. Myths have power regardless of their not being provable in a court of law or under a microscope. Let me make quick allusions to two myths to illustrate how powerful mythology is. The first one is the National Football League. It simply cannot be verifiably true that huge men slamming into each other around an inflated ball in huge sports arenas and on television amounts to anything valuable enough over the world. That simply has to be a lie, or at best a myth. Some of us like to watch professional football games. That's okay. You spend $8 billion a year feeding hungry people, providing AIDS drugs to babies in Africa. The income of the National Football League is twice that. That's not because huge men crashing into each other is twice as valuable as saving AIDS babies. It is because the National Football League has mythological power. Some of us may love it because it's fun to watch. Others of it may question whether it is worth all that money. But its validity, its magnetism, does not come from any measurable, provable truth. It comes from the myth that it matters. When I was 8 years old, I went to Mama, and I said, the talk at my school is that there is no Santa Claus. Kids are telling each other that parents buy the presents and put them under the trees. And took care of that. I never stopped believing, and he never stopped coming. Now, that's the power of a myth. That's how powerful myths are. Remember that universalism is the principle that eternal damnation is a lie. That there is no place of eternal punishment, torment, torture, and Barry Manilow music. It just doesn't exist. Remembering that we are a religious tradition, we reject that horrible lie. This minister actually believed that people can be condemned to eternal torture and Barry Manilow music. So he was harangued by this man who came to church because his wife had found some way to force him to come to church. And his way of handling it was, after every service, he would hang back until the crowd had cleared out, and then he would confront the minister. You can't believe what you said today. That's just ridiculous. What a crazy idea. And one day, the preacher talked about Jonah and the big fish. So here comes Mr. Haranger. Everybody's cleared out. He walks up to the minister and he says, how can you believe that Jonah lived in the belly of a fish for 3 days? And the preacher said, well, when I get to heaven, I'm going to ask him. And Mr. Haranger said, well, how do you even know he's going to be in heaven? And the minister said, well, if he's not, you ask him. I didn't tell that joke simply because I think it's a pretty good joke, and I do think it's a pretty good joke. I told it because it goes to the heart of what we cherish in Unitarian Universalism. People are free here to believe different things as long as we do no harm. I love how my beloved Charlie Tyler defends us. He says we don't believe in everything. We look for the best, the good, the kind, the generous in everything. And I'm sure you won't mind my adding that we believe in social justice, freedom for the LGBTQ community, racial justice, immigration justice, economic justice, environmental justice, reproductive justice, and freedom. We even believe in diversity, equity, and inclusion. We believe in education, access to health care, a level playing field, affordable housing, scouting, and Little League baseball. So who is this mythological Jesus I came over here to talk about this morning? He is an embodiment of that best in everything that Charlie Tyler talks about. He came upon a widow woman in one of the mythological stories about him. She had lost her only son, and Jesus knew that widows without sons faced a lifetime of begging or prostitution in that culture. In order to save this widow from a life of poverty or worse, Jesus brought the son back to life. Now you might scoff or recoil at such a statement, but EMTs do it every day in this country and around the world. They bring people back to life at the site of auto accidents and drownings. And surgeons do it every day in the operating room. Dead people come back to life all the time these days. He was a rabbi and a religious leader who taught food for the hungry, care for the widows and orphans, and peace. But we're not done with the uncomfortable stuff yet. My Jesus also held the little girl in John Michael Montgomery's song, which is called The Little Girl. The story has never been verified or testified to in a court of law, so it is a mythological story. Take it or leave it, as I know you always do when coming into this room. Meg Barnhouse used to say, Unitarians don't have an amen corner, we've got an or not corner. The little girl grew to the age of about 7 or 8 in a dysfunctional family. Her daddy drank too much, mama did drugs, and they fought a lot. One terrible night, her parents died in a double murder-suicide. Took her to church. She'd never been to church. She saw a picture of Jesus hanging on the wall, hanging on the cross. And she said to her foster parents, I know that man got off that cross. And they said, well, that's wonderful, honey. How do you know this? And she said, because as my mama and daddy were dying, that man came and held me as I hid behind the sofa. That's the Jesus I believe in. The record shows that Buddha and Muhammad and all those kinds of fellows had the same kind of power, as did Edgar Casey. I like to think that Joan Baez, Gloria Steinem, and Mavis Staples have that kind of power too. Don't hear me saying, even for an instant, that I believe Jesus is the only way, because I know way too many people who have found the way without Jesus. And my guess is that Jesus is just as fond of non-believers as he is believers. Elizabeth Kubler-Ross interviewed 20,000 people who had near-death experiences, people who were brought back to life at automobile accidents, drownings, sitting on operating room tables. Many of her conclusions are validated by other researchers in the field. She said that during those outer-body experiences, Christians are greeted by the Marx Brothers. Non-religious people conclude with a simple idea. There are Christians who genuinely believe they have found peace, freedom, generosity, and service because of Jesus. And Cheryl, you and I found one in James Tallarico. He really is that kind of Christian. They are devoted to their way of doing things in the way that many of us are devoted to our ways of doing things. As strange as it may sound, I don't think they would be offended to hear me say simply that for them, a way, a truth, and a life for them. In fact, their love is so strong, so available, so open to all possibilities that they accept that Buddhism, Hinduism, Judaism, Islam is for those people. Martin Luther King told us Jesus was simply a hand pointing to the moon. And King regretted the fact that people came to worship the hand rather than the moon. Jesus came to point to the moon, and the moon is love, acceptance, generosity, and service. And the Jesus of my understanding is one who would most graciously say, other hands are pointing. Raised many more questions than I have answered today. That means we're going to have a great time during the talk back. Let me close with the words of Karl Barth. Karl Barth was the Michael Jordan of 20th century theology. His church dogmatics contain 6 million words. He was asked to boil it down, reduce those 6 million words down to a simple idea. Barth said, Jesus loves me, this I know, for the Bible tells me so.
This morning. It's my newest composition, and I had invaluable assistance in writing it. Albert Einstein, Pat Jobe, David Rosenberg all contributed to the song. But there was one other, my editor, trusted wife and sweetheart, Betsy Morehouse. We make mistakes, we do our best. I now know that is true. Brother, sister, mother, father, just like me and you. We're walking, talking bundles of frequencies. Yeah, walking, talking bundles of frequencies. Laughing, crying every day, our biochemical tears. Dancing to the music of the spheres. Exploring what celestial bodies know. We gently ease our deepest fears. Our voices are the melodies played on that heavenly harp. Warmth of moon, warmth of sun, moonstruck years on the wheels of wondrous years. We're walking, talking bundles of frequencies. Yeah, walking, talking bundles of frequencies. Laughing, crying every day, our biochemical tears, dancing to the music of the spheres. Conceived upon a planet green, fragile flesh, evolving brain, we find our way upon this tiny sphere. We value life, our fellow man, with gratitude and grace. Every day, in every way, in this our holy place. We're walking, talking bundles of frequency. Yeah, walking, talking bundles of frequencies. Laughing, crying every day, our biochemical tears. Dancing to the music of the spheres. We're walking, talking bundles of frequencies. Yeah, walking, talking bundles of frequencies. Laughing, crying every day, our biochemical tears. Dancing to the music of the spheres. Dancing to the music of the spheres. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. And what I enjoyed almost as much as your song was watching Betsy watch you while you were singing. That was very precious. I do want to encourage those of you who are able to stay for our talk back. If you're unfamiliar with it, we'll gather back here about a quarter after the hour, and we'll talk some about what we heard Pat say and some of the responses we've had inside our souls, and be able to kind of coordinate our own hearts together when we meet like this. And so please, if you would, stay put, or come back after you get the sacred coffee that's in the back there, and then we'll gather back here and have that talk back. For the guests here today, thank you so much for being here. Those of you that are first or second timers, those of you that continue to find your way back here, it's so very gracious to have you here. And Pat, if you would please now, your closing remarks.
As Mike alluded to, we did work together on that song, but I had forgotten frequencies. And so as I was listening to him sing, I was hearing free Quincy's. and after the first refrain, I was thinking, now I got to ask him what a Quincy is. But I got it on the second time. I figured out what you were singing. Our closing words come from Christopher Moore's bawdy, profane, absolutely filthy novel, Lamb, the story of Biff, Christ's childhood pal. In the book, Biff and Joshua, aka Jesus, have traveled to East Asia, questing for mystical knowledge. When he does, Biff begs him to come back, to reappear. When he does, Jesus says, "Love thy neighbor as thou lovest thyself, for he is thee, and thou art he, and everything worth loving is everything." Let me say it one more time, because I believe it is so Unitarian, so much who we are, especially to each other. Love thy neighbor as thou lovest thyself, for he is thee, and thou art he, and everything worth loving is everything.
I'm going to have to scream. But I assume you can hear me. And we will extinguish the chalice together If you will stand. And the words are in your order of service. While we extinguish this flame, we still carry in our hearts the light of truth, the warmth of unity, and the fire of commitment until we are together again.
One time